All right. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Eagles Aftermath. This is your host, Scotty. You can find me on Twitter at Scotty Drown. I'm not acquainted with my good buddy Phil Stifle today. He did have some plans today, so I am going to have to go at it just by myself today. But definitely wanted to get on here, recap this Eagles Chiefs game. Lot of interesting stuff took place today. Be sure, guys, if you're not already following DSM Media, follow DSM Media on Twitter at DSM_media. We're putting out content every day. We'll be here every single Sunday, Monday after the Eagles game with Eagles Aftermath, recapping all of the action. Keep the comments coming in. If you are on Twitter, understand I cannot see the comments. I cannot post them on the screen. I will try to keep up with them on the side here on my phone as I'm tuned in as well. But yes, if you want to hop over to YouTube, Facebook, you can also find us over there at DSM Media. You can get on there. We can get your comments on the screen. Definitely check out how you guys are all feeling out there today. So let's get into it. Chiefs come into Philly. Andy Reid comes into Philly. They take care of business against the Eagles, 42-30. Nothing out of the ordinary, right? This was all around expected for the most part. Patrick Mahomes, you had 24 for 30, 278 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Continues to do, some of those dumb plays that can cost the team. If the Eagles were a better team, that interception might have been a little bit more costly to the Kansas City Chiefs there. But overall, Patrick Mahomes had a pretty good day. Jalen Hurts got some garbage time numbers there, a little bit skewed, but for the most part, he did play better. I was impressed by what I saw from him. And you just hope to see he keeps improving. 32 for 48 today. Don't want to see him passing the ball that much. You're playing the Chiefs. You do got to play catch up. 387 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Or no, excuse me, no interceptions. That interception did not count. But he did get bailed out by the ball hitting the ground there. The interception did not count, but that was a very terrible decision. And then 8 rushes for 47 yards. He was the Eagles' leading rusher once again. And that's something you're going to want to see the Eagles clean up, right? It's nice having a quarterback that can scramble, quarterback that can get out of the pocket. He can, make plays with his legs. But at the end of the day, you do not want to see him week after week after week being your leading rusher when you have guys like Miles Sanders and even Kenneth Gainwell, who showed some very good promise today. In the passing game, in the rushing game, he knows how to run downhill. He, knows how to stay on his feet. That's something I really liked about him. But Kenneth Gainwell had a pretty good game today. Once again, you didn't see Miles Sanders get as involved as you would like. I'm still waiting for Miles Sanders to be used the way he should be. And I'm still waiting for him to get the carries that he should be. Yeah, and that's a great point, Phil. Just outmatched talent-wise, discipline-wise, coaching-wise. It was across the board, right? And I'm definitely going to get to Nick Sirianni and, not necessarily the entire game's play calling, because he wasn't calling the game like on Monday, what we saw, right? Just totally ignoring the run, just some of the odd play selection. I actually did like the way he, coached this game. Or not coach, I should say, but actually game plan and, the play calling that took place. Definitely still want to see a little bit more of the run game involved there. But my biggest concern here, as far as coaching, discipline. Phil hits it right on the head here. Discipline on penalties. 3 touchdowns called back today because of penalties. That cannot happen. No matter who you're playing, right? Like not just the Kansas City Chiefs, an in and out contending team year to year now, right? It's any team you play. If you're playing the Cowboys, if you're playing any team in the NFC East, you don't want to see these penalties costing you points. Like it's not just yards now, it's points on top of it. And that stuff just can't happen. You're talking about the second time this season where you've had a touchdown from a wide receiver where he just steps out of bounds before he gets done his route, before he touches the ball. You can't do that. You have to learn from those mistakes as well. So it's something that should be emphasized in the meeting rooms, in the film study. And you need Nick Sirianni to get this figured out. The penalties can't keep happening. You keep seeing the illegal formations, the illegal man downfield, bringing plays back. They're trying to run all these RPOs, and the offensive line is makeshift right now. You got to simplify the game for one. You can't keep doing all this with this. You're talking second and third string offensive linemen in the game right now. So gotta simplify it. Got to get rid of these penalties. You look at Derek Barnett. I always want to pick it out whenever he gets a penalty, which is literally every single game. And it's always a costly one. I get it. He was getting pushed down. But you could see he grabbed Patrick Mahomes' legs. He drove him down. Like, it wasn't, oh, he just got pushed and fell into Patrick Mahomes. He grabbed his legs and brought him down. It was a penalty. And simple stuff like that just can't happen against the good teams, the bad teams. Just simply can't do it. And yes, failure to run the ball again. It's not necessarily. It's more or less you're relying on Jalen Hurts to get all your rushing yards, and that just can't happen. Like I mentioned earlier, Miles Sanders has to be more involved. I just don't get it. I literally don't get why Miles Sanders doesn't get the ball. Screens, sure, swing passes. That swing pass on 2nd and goal was disgusting. I never want to see that again. But just as far as getting him simple handoffs. Run it straight up the gut. We're doing all these outside zone plays. Now, I do want to say Miles Sanders was on the runs that he did get early. He was bouncing a lot of them outside. He should have just turned straight up field. He was dancing around a little bit too much. But I do feel like that could be something that's stemming from just not knowing the next time you're going to touch the ball. So he's always looking to make the big play in the rushing attack. And, you kind of get that, but at the same time, you just want to see him turn it upfield. And now I'm looking to Sirianni because you're also not even putting your running backs in good situations here. Give him room to run it straight up the gut. You got Jason Kelce's your only starting offensive lineman in the game. And, we said he needed 15 touches. I said 20-plus touches. Instead, once again, similar to the Cowboys game, you see the opposite team, the opposing team, come out and implement the exact game plan that the Eagles should implement. The Chiefs came out, ran it down our throats with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, a little bit of Darrell Williams. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 18 carries, 102 yards, didn't have any touchdowns, 2 receptions, 12 yards at receiving. Personnel is not good enough to run Gannon's system, so he needs to run something different this year from George. Yeah, I tend to agree. I do tend to agree with that, George. He's trying to run his system. He doesn't have the linebackers, simply the talent that can do this. And a lot of the game you saw, not a lot of the game, but a couple of the plays in the game, you saw Patrick Mahomes really breaking it outside and just making a play out of nothing, plays that shouldn't happen. I believe it was on the 3rd and 12. Patrick Mahomes gets out on the left side, scrambles for 13 yards, runs, by Javon Hargrave. You can't expect Javon Hargrave to keep containment. He's not a defensive end. He's not an edge rusher. So you're seeing Derek Barnett, you're seeing Josh Sweat, Kerrigan getting straight upfield, blowing right past the play. And, on the other side, I'm just looking at Fletcher Cox. All this money, guys. And I know he had the touchdown last week. That was Javon Hargrave. It was Javon Hargrave that made that play. Fletcher Cox was the reaper of the benefit, yes. But today, where was he in the stat sheet? Where was he in the game? Where was the pressure? You didn't see Fletcher Cox one time get to the QB. And we got Jason Voorhees checking in here again. Jeff Lurie is pulling the strings. This team is in major trouble. Yeah, and you're starting to see it. I mean, they want a passing attack. How can you ignore Miles? It's absurd. You disagreed with my point about shootout, and you're exactly on point. We can't win a shootout. Yeah, me and Dylan said that before the game. You cannot win a shootout against the Kansas City Chiefs. They're the best team in a shootout. You don't want to, give them the opportunity to do that. And they absolutely exploited us with Tyreek Hill. You're talking about, 186 yards, 3 touchdowns, blowing by our defense. They have those automatic 3rd down plays. He just goes out, runs an out route. It's an automatic 1st down. It's basically like an extended run play because it's going to be there. Patrick Mahomes gets it out quick to him, and it's wide open. He can just go straight to the ground after the 1st down. Several of those killed us. Once again, piss poor game plan. Cannot continue to expect Hurts to play hero ball. Yeah, at the end of the day, we can judge Hurts all we want, but he came out and he threw 48 times today, right? 387 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's not how you're going to beat anybody, let alone the Kansas City Chiefs. As me and Dylan mentioned before the game on the earlier edition of Turf Talk, you have to run the football not only to preserve not only to preserve your offense and your quarterback, make the game easier for Jalen Hurts. You have to run the football to preserve the time of possession. You have to control the clock, keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands. And they failed to do that. The Chiefs came out here, put up 42 points right in Philadelphia. So just a few of the key points that I found throughout the game. Just some of the things that bothered me, some of the things I was impressed with. Obviously, Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith looked great today. You had him out there, 7 receptions, 122 yards. He was finally able to get open. Jalen Hurts was getting him the ball. You saw him on a few deep routes, a few deep connections with him, which is definitely got me feeling a little bit optimistic about that connection. And then Dallas Goedert, 5 catches, 56 yards, 1 touchdown. Both of the guys that I mentioned there, right? Both guys had a touchdown called back due to a penalty. One was Devontae Smith's own fault. Yeah, George, at this point, George, we're beating a dead horse with the Goddard thing. Dallas Goedert is an elite tight end. I'm tired of seeing it. I'm tired of saying it. I know some people don't feel the same as me. You see the flashes. If you don't see it, then you're not watching. The guy has yards after catch ability. He catches everything. You saw it on his touchdown catch. He catches everything. And he's a bully. When he gets the ball, he doesn't go down easy. He's not like Ertz, simply. He's not like Ertz where he just goes down after he gets tackled. He's going to fight for extra yards. Sometimes it does cost him with the fumbles. But luckily today he didn't he didn't have to pay the reaping of that. He fumbled it out of bounds once. But Dallas Goedert's a guy, you got to get the ball in his hands. He has big play potential. And that's where I'm kind of confused, is because it's like we're not getting the guys with big play potential the ball. Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders, right? They both have big play potential. They've both shown it in the past. And you just got to make an emphasis to get those guys the ball. But overall, I was impressed by Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert today. I would just like to see it a little bit more, honestly, a little bit more consistently. Another thing I liked, we talked about the Chiefs offense, and maybe they just didn't need Travis Kelce. I think he did play a little more of a decoy today, but they did control Travis Kelce, 4 receptions, 23 yards, did get a couple, clutch first downs down the stretch. But overall, Travis Kelce wasn't his day, right? It was Tyreek Hill's day with 186 yards and 3 tutties. But I mentioned Javon Hargrave earlier. Another positive today. Javon Hargrave, he's been a positive all season. He's playing at an all-pro level. I love what I'm seeing from him. He's worth all of the money. And quite honestly, he is right in front of our eyes making Fletcher Cox expendable. As we go down the stretch here, I think we have, Carolina next week, and then we go Thursday Night Football against the Bucs, I believe, something like that in the schedule-wise. If they drop this game against Carolina, then drop this game against the Buccaneers, you got to start moving some of these guys on these contracts that can be perceived as beneficial to contenders. You got to start selling, and that includes Ertz, that includes Cox. Ertz has shown us some stuff this year, and that's great. Great for his value, I should say. Excuse me. But you got to start selling, some of these veterans. And I'm not talking – I've seen like Jason Kelce, Lane Johnson. I'm not going that far. Jason Kelce, for one, would have never came back. I don't believe he would have came back if he knew he was going to get traded. He didn't come back for that. He came back to run it back and play some football for the Eagles. But guys like Fletcher Cox, Zach Ertz, those guys are expendable at this point. Javon Hargrave has made it so that is the case. And Dallas Goedert has as well, in my eyes. I know some people won't agree with that, but Dallas Goedert needs to be the main focal point in the tight end group in this offense, in my opinion. Some other things that I noticed, we went over them earlier. Red zone struggles. At one point in the game, there was 1 run and 10 red zone plays. When you get down in the red zone, that's the time to run. I can't beat a dead horse, so many times, but just running the football. Making it simple. it really can all be so simple, and they just refuse to run the football. I think they almost, yeah, George. And if you're talking about Cox's value as far as him not being able to be traded on that contract, then, or unless you mean because he just took the pay cut, I'm not sure exactly what the stipulations are on that, George. But if you mean strictly because of value, yeah, he's not looking great, especially after this game. Last game it got kind of overshadowed by the touchdown. Okay, the contract extension, so he's not able to be traded. Okay, so then Zach Ertz is who you're looking at, and then some of those guys on the defensive side of the ball. But still, I'm looking at the red zone struggles, the 1 run and 10 plays. Either way, you got to be more creative. The one that really bothered me was the 2nd down play, the swing pass. I believe it was to Miles Sanders. It could have been Kenneth Gainwell. That play was gross. That was one of the ugliest plays I've seen all season. And it's one of those situations where if you want to run the football, just run the football. You're not the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm going down my list of just keys that I noticed. The linebackers struggled again. This is something that George, one of our viewers, has mentioned several times. Investing in the talent on the defensive side of the ball. The Eagles just simply have not done it. They usually, at least go defensive line and heavy, which they did in the later rounds this past draft. But the linebacker position, we keep trying to plug in holes. Eric Wilson is a complete fail. I mean, if you see Eric Wilson on some of these run plays, he's getting drove back 10, 15, 20 yards down the field by these linemen. And there's nothing that he can do about it, right? He's just a small linebacker. He got the interception today that kind of overshadows him, right? But he's been struggling. There's a point in this game where you just ask yourself, why is TJ Edwards not in the game, right? Why is Davion Taylor not getting a shot? You got to try some different things. Rodney McLeod was back today. Didn't make too much of a difference. You didn't want to see him doing too much coming out of that ACL tear from last season. Adams checking in. The Eagles stayed in it as long as they could. Totally agree, Adam. Not the score that bothers me, not the result that bothers me. It's just the penalties, honestly. Shooting yourself in the foot so many times. I said it on Twitter. I'm not going to sit here and say that the Eagles could have won this game. I'm not going to say that to you. But they definitely had so many opportunities to make this close down to the wire, right? You talk about the interception from Mahomes to Eric Wilson. You get the ball in your own territory. Can't capitalize. So many times they went down in the red zone, inside the 10-yard line, settled for field goals. And you're never going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. You're never going to beat a good offensive team like that, including the Cowboys, who had a very good showing out of Carolina today. I mentioned it earlier, finally got Goddard Smith involved. Gainwell is pretty good. On the other side of it, right, Kansas City's defense is really bad. I mean, they are really bad. I mentioned all the opportunities that the Eagles were gifted today. And some of that falls right on the Kansas City defense. I mean, yeah, Smith stepped out of bounds. He still caught the touchdown pass. That team is bad. Zach Ertz, he didn't get called. J-Jaw got called for the illegal screen or the illegal route, the illegal screen in the middle of the pick play in the red zone where Zach Ertz caught the touchdown pass. And it's worrisome for Kansas City if you're asking me. I'm looking at that AFC West that is competing at a very high level. You got the Broncos 3-0, you got the Raiders 3-0, and you got the Chargers 2-1. The Chiefs definitely got to keep up over these next few weeks with that division. They are still last in the division with the 2-2 record now. And what I would say, they're going into a Buffalo game next week, and that's going to be a really tough matchup for the Kansas City Chiefs. If you thought Jalen Hurts looked okay, if you thought he looked good today, just imagine what Josh Allen is going to look like against that defense. But, yeah, I would be very worried for Kansas City, just defensive-wise. I thought offensively they looked as they're going to look. They're always going to look good on offense with Patrick Mahomes, but still had that crucial mistake. And then you saw the fumble on the kick return. That's another one that could have went the Eagles' way. Lastly, what I would say, we saw the growth that we needed as far as just relaxing for a week, right? The penalties they got to nip that in the bud. But just for Jalen Hurts, right? The growth that I needed to see, not making the same mistakes. He did have the one that I mentioned earlier that should have been an interception. It was a very bad decision. But overall, I thought he stayed within himself. There's a few things that I didn't like from Jalen Hurts. Just the kind of, I don't know if he's scared, if he just gets nervous when there's defenders in his face. He just can't see over the line. But the whole like slouching down and not standing up straight in the pocket and seeing downfield, that really bothers me. Just the instinct to want to just run out of the pocket, that really bothers me. You could see the game plan, for Kansas City today was to drive Jalen Hurts to his left, because obviously he's a right-handed quarterback. He's going to have to switch his whole body in order to throw the ball on that side of the field on the run. And he kind of played right into it at times in this game, which you don't like to see. But overall, you look at his numbers. Obviously, some of it was garbage time. Overall, not a bad game for Jalen Hurts with 387 yards, 2 touchdowns. But you just look to coaching, get that discipline. You gotta install the discipline. If you got to bench Derek Barnett because of that penalty, he's had a penalty in I feel like every single game this season. If you have to bench him, let somebody else start in place of him, even if it's for just a half because of depth issues, whatever the case may be. You got to try something else to get this team in line. And they need to take a real long talk. They need to have a real long conversation with their wide receiver room, regarding stepping out of bounds. You got to run through your routes tougher. You got to be stronger on your routes. And you can't let a defender push you out of bounds. Your goal is to catch the ball. If you can't catch the ball after you go out of bounds, then you can't do that, right? They need to be available and able to catch the football. And ultimately, as far as like all the illegal motions and all the illegal players downfield, they got to get the offensive line in sync, get them to understand what's going on, especially if they're going to run an RPO-heavy offense. But that is all I got for you guys today. Sorry that my buddy Phil, Beard of Knowledge on Twitter, couldn't join me today. Definitely could have been a little bit more thorough conversation, but definitely just wanted to get the recap out to you guys. Make sure that you're tuning in every Sunday after the Eagles games. We will be here with Eagles Aftermath on DSM Media. You can find DSM Media on Twitter at DSM_media. You can find myself, Scotty, on Twitter at Scotty Drowned. And, of course, on either one of the Twitter pages, you can find our link tree that will take you to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We are everywhere. We're on all the podcast streaming platforms. And be sure to tune in tomorrow. I know we will be back with the Faithful Fanatics. We'll probably get a more thorough recap of the Eagles-Chiefs game, as well as some action in the NFL. And then I will actually be coming back with my Season 2 of Scotty Talks NBA. I will be joined by my good buddy, El Parcero Philly. So be sure to check that out. We're going to dive into our NBA preseason power rankings. We'll give you our top 10 teams from each conference in order. We'll let you know who we think is making the playoffs. And then we're going to go through our top 5 players at each position. And we will finish off with some Ben Simmons talk. Not going to spend too much time on that guy. Don't worry. But I'm also going to talk about how Joel Embiid can get better after his MVP caliber season last season. But guys, be sure to follow us on every platform. Make sure you're supporting the brand. We do have merch out. You can also find that on the Linktree links there. And let your friends know, subscribe. We will be back here every single week, bringing you content daily. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Scotty is out. Go Birds. Tough loss, but we got to see a little bit